Hi everyone, welcome to another pick a card video on my channel. My name is Julianne Fay and I'm a professional astrologer and certified angel card reader. On this channel I do pick a card videos at the time of the new and full moons, and we are basically kind of at the end of this new moon day, although as I always like to tell my Astro Fairy members, it can take up to 2 weeks to fully integrate the medicine and the energies of what a new full moon is about. And this particular new moon has eclipse energy attached to it, which can take up to 6 months to integrate. So there's a lot that will take time to play out from this stuff that's getting stirred up with this new moon. Those of you that are coming back to my channel, I love to do these videos every 2 weeks, and I send them out along with my email newsletter. So if you're new and you're not subscribed to that, make sure you do so, because it's the best way to stay up to date with my latest blog posts, specials I'm doing. Sometimes I advertise things only in my newsletter, just because I appreciate my email subscribers. And like I said, they go out twice a month, so it's not like super overwhelming. And gotta say, so the last full moon was a doozy for me. I'm a super Virgo, and Sagittarius and Gemini are mutable signs. So people that are Virgo and Pisces, we've been going through it, because in kind of a good and bad way at the same time, because Jupiter's in Pisces for a short stint, which I am doing Jupiter in Pisces quickie readings. You can check that out on my Etsy shop, by the way. Jupiter is in the very, very early degrees of Pisces, which is beginning to provide spiritual understanding of what Jupiter in Pisces is going to provide for us, particularly in the next year, 2022, because it's not going to get too far this year. It's going to kind of go a little bit, but then it's going to retrograde back. So that's exciting energy, because we're moving into a very different flavor than Jupiter in Aquarius, right? And that will be greatly impacting Pisces signs and Virgo signs, because they're on the same axis. Now, Gemini and Sagittarius, that's where the nodes are, right? The north node and the south node. And that's why we have eclipse energy, because it's involving the nodes. So that means that things are being illuminated for us, either in releasing with the full moon in Sagittarius, which was 2 weeks ago, or in illumination, which is this new moon in Gemini, right? Which is now, into the next 2 weeks, and then taking 6 full months to fully integrate what that eclipse energy is about. Now, I will say, and I did mention this in Astro Fairy, that the orb, or the approximation in degrees between the node and the moon sign, at that time it was a full moon, was actually much closer in the full moon in Sagittarius than this one is. So if I could give my 2 cents about it, I would say that this one, it's a new moon eclipse, but it's a little bit different than if it was a new moon eclipse where it was very, very tight of an orb, which can have maybe a more diffused effect. You might not perceive of or become aware of what's exactly going on right away. And that's kind of common with eclipses too. There's usually like a flash of like activity and things that go on, and then it does take us time to actually like work through and process what that was or what that is for us, okay? So as always, I'm going to show you guys the decks that I'm using, and because I always like to give credit where credit is due. And I may or may not use all of these decks in your particular pile, but I try to do my best to get the same amount of cards per pile regardless of which decks are being used. Sometimes it's not perfect, because it's not a perfect science, because multiple cards can fall out, and I have to trust that that's part of what that pile needs to express, right? But there you go. So we have spellcasting, oracle, spellcasting, and also I'm recording this for you in Mercury retrograde. We've got that going on along with this new moon energy and the eclipse, so it's very crazy. Spellcasting Oracle cards by Flavia Kate Peters. Life Purpose Oracle cards by DV. I may have used these in my last pick a card, but I was drawn to rework with them. The Light Seers Tarot by Sandra Ann Klingler. Oh no, this is not Sandra Ann Klingler. This is by Chris Ann. Sorry, different artist. And then the Starseed Oracle, which is by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel. Okay. I do also have, as I feel called, my self-love affirmation cards. You can actually get these as printable you can buy these affirmation cards from my Etsy shop and print them out yourself and mount them to something like I did. So they're printable affirmation cards available on my shop, and I designed all of those. And then I got my Bits and Bobs jar, which has a varied assortment of various astrological terms and sometimes other randoms, so I may pull from that as well. So like always, I'm going to pause this video, queue up the piles off camera because it just saves time, and I will be RB. Alright, so let's get into it. So as always, I encourage you guys before you pick a pile to ground yourself, get to a centered place where you feel calm and ideally even like neutral. You definitely don't want to be in a like grasping or overly attached place to answers. You want to actually be in this more like flow and receptive state when you pick a pile. Sometimes I will approach a pick a card video and I'm kind of like hurried or like kind of want to do it but kind of don't. That's not really a good time to pick a pile. It's better to kind of pause, maybe come back to it later, or you could always get a sense about a particular pile and then kind of revisit it in a few moments later or something like that. So calm and serenity is the key. So this is pile 1, and as I like to encourage people, you can certainly just tune in with your intuition. Do you get a sense when you look at this pile that you might hear, yes, it's my pile? I like to also use my hands, so you have chakras in our hands, so you can actually put your hand in front of the screen and see if you get kind of like a zing, of awareness that that's your pile is another great way to go about it. So this is pile 1. And just as a reminder, they'll all look the same from the back. So you're tuning into the vibrational frequency of the pile, not the way that they look. All right, so that is pile 1. This is pile 2. And this is pile 3. All right, and then I'll attempt to hold them all up. So this is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, okay? So we have 1, 2, and 3. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna roll into pile 1. You can, if you're pile 1, just stay right here. If you are the other piles, use the timestamps down below to navigate to where you need to go. And as always, I will see you at your pile pick. Okay, pile 1 peeps. These are the cards for you. Let's get into it. I'm just gonna take a second to acclimate to what your cards are first. Okay. Actually, it's funny because I thought about getting the guidebook for this deck, and I think that's what we're gonna do because I haven't worked with this deck in a while. And I am gonna also pull a self-love affirmation card for you guys. So that one is the winner. Okay. So we have, I welcome and accept with ease loving partnerships into my life. Now, this could absolutely be a relationship. You guys do have pile one peeps, I like to say instead. You do have the Ace of Cups, so this could certainly be a potential relationship, you know, because the Ace of Cups is like a new emotional endeavor, a new emotional experience. But this could absolutely also be something career or work related. And I feel like for many of you, that actually might be the case because we have justice and we have leadership here together. Okay, I'm gonna set these down for a second. So it's interesting. So you guys have justice, right? And then you have this leadership card, take charge of the situation. You also have from the Starseed Oracle, I just checked what it's called. You literally have the card that says called, soul gifts and training. It's time to step up. And you could see that she's looking at this big doorway that she's going to walk through. And there's a lot of energy behind that doorway. And she's feeling called to go through this portal, through this path towards this like almost like new dimension in a way. It's going to open up a lot of energy here, you know, and a lot of potential. But it's also very unknown, okay? And yeah, we also have death and rebirth, which again, from this deck has this very like portal-like energy. So I think that you guys are going through this almost like an initiation in some type of way, where there's something that you're feeling called to step up into doing. This thing that you feel called to step up into doing, or maybe it's that person that you want to be with, or that thing you want to pursue, whatever it is, this definitely has the potential to open you up to new energy and almost like expand you into potentially even new dimensions, as crazy as that sounds. And I think that part of you there might be part of you that's like rushing the communication with it, or potentially like all up in your head about it, because we have Knight of Swords, and this by itself would be like a very quick moving intellectual card, but this came up in reverse, okay? So there might be something here where it's like you feel this tendency to rush the process. You feel this tendency to be like, hurry up, like I've got to cross through this portal now. I've got to get this figured out now. I've got to get this relationship sorted out now. Like I've got to get, you know, this whole thing like situated. And there could also be a part of you that's just still trying to weigh it out with the Justice card here. You're trying to determine, okay, is this imbalanced for me? Does this fit, right? And I think the answer is that there is a lot of good about this because you feel called to it, and it's an opportunity for you to step up into your personal power. And with the Death card here, this is like endings and beginnings. So it has this potential to like really radically transform you, you know? So I do sense almost this like a little bit of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy just at the time that I'm doing this reading for you. It might change if you come back to this reading at a different time and pick a different pile, where you're doing a lot of like weighing it out. You might be actually doing a lot of like mental Olympics, you know, where it's like you're just like your mind is kind of racing over this person or this thing or this opportunity because you know you feel called to it and it feels really good for you, and you feel like it would be something in which you could stand in your power. Maybe it's something that involves fairness or justice in some type of way, and or just you could see yourself being in it and that it would feel right to you. It would feel appropriate or balanced to you in some type of way. And there is this almost like this promise of it being this emotionally rewarding experience, whether that's with a person or something, right? But there's also this sense I get of, you know, because we have this card called, it's like she hasn't walked through the doorway yet. She just knows that she feels drawn to this doorway. So there might be something here, and you guys also have a welcome and accept with ease, loving partnerships into my life. So there's something here where it's like you're working towards it. You recognize that this has potential to be a loving, potentially balanced partnership with this person or this job or whatever it is, this thing. But you're still in this process of moving towards it. It's like energetically it's calling to you, but you haven't quite crossed that threshold yet into the new, which makes sense too why we have the Death card, because you're still kind of processing some of what this would involve ending in your life as well as beginning. It's like you're still kind of like about to like cross this threshold, and you have two cards here just showing that really strong portal energy. So it's like this portal is opened up for you, and it's kind of like up to you to decide when and how you're going to walk through it. Now you do have breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. Now, I don't entirely know the meaning of this card because I don't work with this guidebook a lot, so I'm going to actually look this one up. There it is. Breath of the cosmos. When we rely on only on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. When we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. You're being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life, to surrender to the greater will that God has for you, to move from my will to thy will. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and release the way you think things should be and surrender to the greater will, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing the breath of life. And it says, starseed activation, place the card on the portal of your heart and whisper the following: I'm willing to stop relying on my own strength and personal agenda and instead surrender to the breath of life. Dear God, please help me move from my will to thy will. Please lead me. Please show me the way. So it's interesting because this to me aligns with this kind of like Knight of Swords card, and to an extent the Justice card, because this is also about weighing things out. So it might be that this particular portal or this path has you, I cannot talk in this moment. Blaming Mercury retrograde. This particular portal, I don't know why I can't say that word all of a sudden. This particular portal or path has opened up for you, but you're kind of maybe questioning it. Maybe you're weighing out kind of this micromanaging energy. You're like looking at every T that needs to be crossed and every I that needs to be dotted. And you're really just mentally like trying to figure it all out. This is saying that you need to also breathe some energy of release into the equation. You might even want to do some releasing energy activities like exercise, or even getting a massage can really release that energy from your body. But just allowing yourself to get back to a place where you feel that flow and that surrender, where you can trust what the universe is trying to open up for you. And I don't get the sense that it's like you're consciously or intentionally trying to like squash this down. I think that you're into it. It's just that because you see how this could be a loving partnership, and you see how it could be like higher vibe and something of leadership, which you really like. I think that there's still parts though of you that mentally maybe are not in full trust or flow with the universe, which, hey, like all of us struggle with that, right? It's a very hard thing to be in like complete trust and flow with the universe. So pat yourself on the back for even acknowledging that this is a portal to begin with, okay? That this is a path or an opportunity here. That's in itself is a big deal to just find the portal. But I think your work is almost to make yourself more receptive in a way, because with this Ace of Cups, it's promising this like emotional invitation or this opportunity for you to emotionally move down this new path, this new initiation here. And it's almost like this energy, which is very like Jupiter Pisces in a way. Jupiter Pisces at the very beginning of Pisces, I should say. This is in sharp contrast to this, which is super like mental. I almost said mentellect, mental and intellectual, right? So it's like, this card could be kind of Libra. This could be like an overabundance of Gemini, which we're absolutely in, right? With Sun in Gemini, the new moon in Gemini, the eclipse in Gemini, and Mercury is in Gemini retrograde. So there's a ton of Gemini, which can come through as super like over intellectualizing everything, And Sagittarius, which is Gemini's opposite, is the one that's about faith and trust, right? So there's not a lot of that in the energy right now. It's all Gemini, which is like all intellect. And then, this one here, again, this feels very like Piscean to me. It almost looks like she's kind of underwater. But this could also be, because we do have 2 air signs, the 3rd air sign would be Aquarius. This could also be in some ways Aquarian, like intellectually you can only go so far. Sometimes you have to detach, you know, and Aquarius is like this weird paradox because it's fixed air, so it gets very fixated on particular ideologies and things like that, but equally it can have a capacity to just like completely cut that out and detach, and through that detachment it can actually be of service to like a lot of people because of that. So I think it's like you right now, your work right now is to figure out how to balance this like overabundance of intellectual energy with your desire to pursue this in the way that you feel it will align you with more leadership and give you more of this open-hearted energy, right? Which is what I think you really want, you know? So what I would encourage you guys to do, Pile 1 peeps, is to really treat the next 2 weeks of this new moon in Gemini cycle as a time in which you need to balance your mind with your heart. And when you find yourself like all up in your head, over analyzing, to just see if you can detach from that. Literally close your laptop, don't check the email, whatever it might be. Go and do something that engages your heart. So maybe that's receiving in some type of way, like receiving a massage or giving a hug to one of your kids or your pets or your lover or whatever it might be. But getting back into the heart energy when the mind gets too much, because I think that you can like short circuit yourself towards what the heart wants if you're too much in your head. And they each have a role. It's just that it's, you know, we have to work at bringing them into balance. You might also want to work with heart chakra crystals. So malachite can be a good one, you know, for that. As any green crystal is wonderful. I'm hearing chrysocolla for some of you. Green crystals are really, really great for working with the heart chakra, as well as sometimes certain crystals like ruby, which is technically red, is also it can be very nice for the heart chakra as well. But bringing in some heart chakra energy, Pile 1 peeps, I think you need that. And I'll just, to kind of conclude, I'll pull from my bits and bobs jar here. Okay. Okay, interesting. So you guys got descendant, which makes sense because we have this energy about partnerships and Ace of Cups, which is, you know, certain connections. So this is absolutely relating to you plus other people, because the descendant is about our one-on-one relationships with other people. So whether this is about a romantic person or a specific job person or something there, a business partner even or something, this is just confirming that it's relating to you and your energy to walk through and into this space with this other person, okay? And then we have 2 slips of paper here that are questions that I wrote at the new year. So this one is about rebuilding your social life in 2021. And then this one is about your most important theme for 2021. So now that we're getting to a place where, you know, we'll be approaching the summer solstice and the beginning of Cancer season, and that marks the halfway point of the year. So this might be a good time for you to almost like self-audit and really, in a way, use that Justice Libran energy that's coming through here in a very positive, nourishing way, which is about, this is the good side of being intellectual about it. Maybe there's a bridge between this aspect and this aspect, right? Where it's like intellectually, if you understand that this is going to help you with your social life or just socially in some socially, emotionally in some type of way, and or it's going to contribute to a greater mission or theme that you've established for yourself in 2021, that might give you the courage to trust and flow into the heart space, because it's like the mind has been given permission to like say, we figured it out to like 75% and that's good enough. So now let's surrender it to the heart space and let the heart kind of lead for a bit. Then you can always ping back to the mind, okay? So that's what I've got for you, Pile 1 peeps. I really like this reading for you. So please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, comment down below, let me know how that resonated with you. I love hearing positive, supportive comments on my channel and how piles resonate with you all, because I know I can relate when I'm channeling the messages, and I love to see how the same message that's coming through, or layers of messages, could support people in such different ways depending upon, you know, where they're at in their life and what they're going through. So I think that that helps us all to witness. Much love, pile 1 peeps. Okay, pile 2 peeps. These are the cards for you. So let's get into it. It's going to take a minute to acclimate to your cards here. Interesting. I'm going to pull a self-love affirmation card for pile 2 peeps as well. Okay, we've got 2 here. And I'm also going to pull from my bits and bobs jar as well. I did that for the end of the last pile, but I want to do it for you all at the beginning. Okay. Okay. So, very interesting. First of all, we have cardinal, okay, which in astrology is initiating energy. This would be Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries. And you guys do have new beginnings, okay? So there is absolutely something that you want to initiate, a new path that you want to go down. There's something new here that you're wanting to bring into physical form, okay, with this cardinal and this new beginnings. I get the sense that it could be quite related to finances or career for many of you, because we have finances and flow are my birthright, and I am financially free. So definitely a lot of messages about finances. Potentially this is like a new job or a new offer or something new that would allow you more abundance in some type of way. I think that you have the capacity to be quite good at it because you have talent here, okay? Even if you yourself doubt or don't see that all the time, you do have this capacity to be quite good at it. It could also be that this new opportunity, this new beginning, this new whatever it is that allows you more finances or more abundance or more freedom or more space in some way, this actually gives you the opportunity to work more on your talents, okay? Which could be something related to writing. I'm hearing for some of you lyrics or songwriting, and then for others of you this could be, you know, like me, blog writing and other things like that, books, etc. So I think it could go one of 2 ways, and it could also mean both, that you would be talented at whatever this thing is, that would be a new opportunity or new beginning, but equally it's going to actually give you the ability to work on your talents, you know, which is pretty cool. So it definitely has great potential here to support you, to align with who you are, and to give you access to tap into and develop more parts of who you are. However, I think that there is a little bit of mixed energy here, because we have this slip of paper which relates to something from my past and me questioning if I should move back there or do something with that. And we have 8 of cups, or sorry, 5 of cups. I thought this was 8 of cups, but it's actually 5 of cups. And but that might be part of the message too. And then 9 of swords here, okay? So there could be this energy where, even though simultaneously it's like this new beginning is like wanting to open up that will be in alignment with who you are and all these things, there's still this worry, this fear, this also potentially like disappointment and regret about things in your past that just didn't work out, you know. This slip of paper relates to a region of the country in which I previously lived and really loved living there, to be honest, but had to leave for a variety of reasons. And, you know, I was very convinced that I would move back there for a long, long time, and it's just like has not worked out. And that definitely triggers all of these feelings, because I have moments where it's like I go like this and I go like that. So there's something in your life, whether that be an old relationship, an old place you used to live, there's something here from your past in which you sometimes kind of, and this could also just be a mental pattern too, there could be this like default setting where it's like when you're kind of unsteady on the new, you kind of go back to the frequency of the old because it feels more comfortable to you. But this triggers a lot of like fear and doubt and anxiety because you're not living in the past anymore. You're living in the now, right? So it's like you can't access that energy of the past anymore. And that might also trigger feelings of like deep feelings of like despair or just disappointment that you can't go back to the past, you know? So there is this kind of like, I'm going to say healing crisis in a way that you go through when you're trying to like initiate the new. The angels are almost giving me this sense of, and I, you know, have not given birth, although I know on a soul level, energetically, I've gone through initiations of like energetic labor pains many times. And there's kind of this thing that goes on where it's like you're so close to the end of birthing into this new layer, but you can have these moments of panic where you're like, no, like, no. Like, humans are very funny because we say we want change, but then when we get on the cusp of change, we suddenly get like really antsy and like really fearful, and sometimes we kind of push it away because we know it's going to change us up. Even though it's something we want, we can still feel very like, I don't know, because it's unknown. What is known is the past, right? The feelings and the energy we accessed in our past is apparent to us. But as you can see, it's like trying to go back into something from the past. It's not going to be the same anymore. And it's like you can't go back in time and like relive past timelines. You can only move forward, you know? So it is that message of like, you can't change the past. The only thing you can kind of change and create in is in the now, which affects your future, right? And we have baby steps. Baby steps, action, follow your intuition. It says before it makes sense. I'm not really resonating with that part. For me, the key message here is baby steps. So you could see that there's like this huge cliff face, right? So she's already climbed, he or she has already climbed up this huge cliff face, and they're at this portal here. And it's interesting because she's kind of like holding her dress, or she's holding something in her hand. It's interesting too, though, because I just noticed that there are other people. So she's there. There are other people that are also climbing this cliff face. Okay. So it's interesting because that to me is a message of like this thing that you're now going through, other people have gone before it, right? Whether this is like the energy of a divorce or grief and loss because you lost someone in your life, or let's say you moved a location and you miss where you lived before. Other people have gone through these layers of grief and loss and just transition in their lives. So it could be valuable for you to have someone to even just like share your feelings with, or kind of like bounce ideas off of as you're going through this transition, because I think that there are people who will be ahead of you on this journey, and there are some people who will be even like behind you. Okay, so you can almost assess like, where am I in this journey? Am I at the very, very beginning taking these baby steps? Have I done kind of this big haul? I know for me, I'm kind of resonating with this one. So it's like, I know I put in a lot of energy and I've got to the top of the cliff. There is a bit more to go there before I can move through that new beginning, which again is almost like an energy of a portal, which was a key message for pile 1 peeps. We could see here, right, that like portal there. If it shows up, I don't know. And we could see it here again, right? This energy of this like doorway opening, or this portal. So I really like that kind of imagery for pile 2 peeps here, that it's like, whenever we're transitioning, whenever we have this initiation into the new, it's always stepwise. So sometimes you have to be practical and realistic, like which step am I on? And sometimes it could be that this grief and this fear is getting triggered because you're trying to push yourself like up too many steps at once. Maybe you need to kind of slow it down a little bit, break it into slightly smaller steps, and that will make you feel more comfortable and more aligned to proceed with the new. So in other words, while you're initiating this new thing, don't feel like you have to push yourself up too many steps at once such that you fall. You know, you can still be moving, but moving at a pace in which you're taking baby steps. And I will say, with this energy of this Merc retro and all this Gemini energy, you know, Gemini is a very curious sign. It loves to collect information. So sometimes, oh, my dog, who's Gemini, actually needs something. I'll be right back. Okay, So yeah, there is this energy here, and even relating to what just happened, it's like there is this energy here of our mind is very important to alert us to when we need things. Like Monty totally alerted me that he needed water, right? Which is interesting because that's like the water element. So there's an emotional component here. So you need to be respectful of what your emotions and what your feelings are trying to tell you, because your feelings might be saying, hey, we're going too fast. I'm down for this, but we got to kind of ease into it a bit better. Or your emotions might be slowing you down, where they're like kind of stuck in the past. And this can happen too if you have a lot of 12th house energy, because that is a house that's Piscean, or even just, you know, Piscean energy in general can also be very like romanticizing the past as well. Or if you have connections also in your chart, really strong connections to your South Node, that can also trigger a connection to the past, you know. But yeah, there's also this capacity for your emotions to also slow you down, where it's like you might be like overly emotionally processing things from your past, and or just like when you feel uncomfortable with being in the now, you go back to the feelings of what the past felt like, and you almost like keep yourself there because you feel more comfortable with it, instead of like slightly being a little bit emotionally uncomfortable with the present and the potential that that could be for the future, and seeing how those emotions can develop into better new things, right? And it's interesting because, again, relating to the past, we have I remember a soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. So interesting stuff. I'm going to read from the guidebook for this one because I don't work with these cards a lot, and it helped to read from the guidebook for the other one. So I remember, and it says, there was a moment before you were born when you chose the conditions of the life you're living right now, when you plotted out those exact moments along the timeline of your life. We live in a world of free will, and therefore these moments become our destiny only through saying yes. The fated life is the one we are born into. The destiny life is the one our soul chooses, and it takes courage and faith. If you pull this card, it's because you're likely now face to face with the choice to follow the destiny life over the fated life, to trust the path your soul is calling you toward, and to remember that this moment was prearranged on your life's timeline. You might find yourself at a crossroads, at a moment when you're being called to make a decision, to keep walking the perfectly laid out path before you, or choose the one less traveled. You may be facing a change of career, a new relationship, a difficult decision, or something else that requires courage and faith. We definitely can see that with this energy of new beginnings, while at the same time this worry and fear, sometimes maybe going back to past things that have happened. So it says you're being invited to remember your soul's greater plan and to surrender it. When you're confronted with a path that's undefined, it's normal for doubt to rear its head. In fact, this is a certain sign that you're facing your soul's greater plan. Every hero in his or her life journey comes eye to eye with doubt. The only way around it is through it. It's all part of the larger plan. What are you being called to do to surrender to your soul's plan? So that is so good. The only part I don't really resonate with is the remember that this moment was prearranged on your life's timeline. To me, that feels like this particular thing, we want to be careful that we don't overly attach to just one thing. So the way I would rephrase that personally, understanding a lot more, or I don't know how much they understand, but just from my personal experience with things like manifestation and the law of attraction, this thing that's before you, it's something that's energetically aligned to you. It is an option that works, that fits, okay, based on the alignment. It's not to say that like it's predetermined that you would meet this person at this time, and like if it doesn't work out with this one person, like all is lost. No, no, no. I don't believe that like our predestiny is that precise and that defined. What I do believe, and this is what I offer when I do my astrology readings, is that the soul does choose to incarnate in particular energies, which we can see represented in our birth chart because that's the energy we were born into. It does choose to incarnate at a particular time, to be born into those energies, to work through certain themes, right? And you can get really specific with that based on how everything is arranged in the chart. Now, it's like you have this basket of energies and you go through your life. So then how you decide to use those energies and apply them, that's up to your free will and kind of what you choose to do with that energy along the way. And then we can add in, I do believe that we have soul contracts and we have people that we're kind of destined to maybe work out some karma with and other things with. But again, free will is always involved. So even if it was like the soul contract was, yes, we're going to be together in this way for this long, one of those people through their own free will, because it's like it all goes out the window when you come to Earth because you have free will, one of those people can still break that soul contract even if it was pre-agreed. Okay, so I think personally, I don't like to use any kind of language there about like predestiny and like that you're destined to find this thing at this time. It's more so like energetically, it's in alignment with you at that time. So it's up to you if you want to maintain that alignment and run with it and take it to new levels, which is more expansion, or if you want to reject it because it's not what you want, even though it aligned with you, it's like, no, I don't want that. It's kind of like putting it back on the shelf, right? And then you could see about aligning with something else. Now that aligning with something else might not come right away. So you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that process of like, okay, if it's not this and I'm going to realign, you're going to have to do some energetic work to realign with something different if that was good for you, right? So it's more complicated than just like a timeline of like predestiny of like, you got to this point and this thing is here and you are meant to be with that. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, well, no, I do not believe it's that way. It's everything is a vibration and everything's trying to seek a like vibration, right? So whatever this thing is that you've got as an opportunity that you've manifested, it's in alignment with you. And obviously with this card here, it's in alignment with more than just you. Other people have been in alignment with this too. Now, I will say that it's going to be hard for you to maintain the alignment of this new thing if you stay too much in the past, okay? Because if you stay stuck on your previous vibrational alignments or your previous vibrational frequencies, it's going to make it hard for you to advance forward because you're kind of stuck on this like song repeating that was like earlier up on the playlist, and like the universe is like down here on the playlist and you're like, no, I just want to keep repeating this song that's like number one, but the universe is like, actually we're moving forward. So if you want to stay there, that's cool, but we're moving forward. So I think there's also a message here of like, yes, do your due diligence to determine if this is the right fit for you, but equally soothe yourself energetically, taking baby steps so that you can really be in a space in which you approach this with love and at the right frequency that's right for you, right? So like not rushing it, not feeling like you have to force it or control the timing of which it occurs, but just taking it step by step. And it might be that you don't know step 3 until you finish step like 1/2, okay? You have to finish step 1/2, and then once you get to that, you could take the next half. And with all this energy and retrograde, it's definitely requiring people. I know I'm going through it a ton. Today I had something where like I thought for sure it was going to be one way, and then I realized like, oh yeah, now there's going to be a setback of timing with this, which I wasn't expecting. So and I kind of default to this energy, I'm not gonna lie, where it triggered a lot of feelings. So there is this like, okay, respect that maybe you do, whether it's you that needs the baby steps or the other person that needs the baby steps, it might be you that needs it and not them. Be realistic with yourself about your emotional needs and do what you need to do to still move forward on the path. We don't want to get stuck in the past, but equally soothe yourself into the new thing, okay? And also with this I Remember card, another meaning I was getting with this was about just sometimes we can get very focused on what the thing looks like, what the person looks like, what the job looks like, or whatever it is. When we get too into that nitty-gritty of like all those details, what can be really helpful is to pull out of that and be like, okay, well, what are the qualities? What are the qualities that I want in this job or in this person or in this thing? What are the qualities that I see it would offer to me, that it would give to me? And do those qualities match with who I am and what I know my soul to be doing, being, having, embodying in this lifetime? So kind of go like, from the level of your soul energetically matching instead of like physical appearance, okay? So that's what I have for you, pile 2. I really love that reading. Please, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Comment down below, let me know how this resonated for you. I love hearing people's positive, supportive comments on my channel that just share their experience with how they resonated with a particular pile. I know I am always amazed at how the message can kind of like translate in so many different ways, depending upon people's frequencies and what they need to hear at that time. So sending you much love, pile 2 peeps. Okay, pile 3 peeps, these are the cards for you. Let's get into it. Whoa, interesting. You got the same message from 2 different decks, which is always really significant. Okay, so let me pull a self-love affirmation card for you as well. Okay, we got 2. And then from my bits and bobs jar, I'm just gonna intuitively pick some stuff here. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right, angels, where do you want me to begin? All right, so they kind of want me to start here, but they don't want you to get overly attached to the meaning of this card, because to me, although this card shows up here, I actually feel like this is something that represents something in the recent past you went through, okay? So we do have the Tower here, which means that in the recent past, or potentially as you're listening to this now, you're going through something which is a little bit of a destabilization. It might be that there was something you really thought was going to work out, and suddenly out of nowhere, it's like kind of being destroyed. You know, it's like you thought that this particular job offer would come through or this relationship would work out, and it didn't. So this kind of sent you a little bit spinning, okay? And well, I just want to check what this card is here. Now it could be, so yeah, I'm going to go to this next. It could be that this thing that didn't work out, you might have been like overly attached to, whether it was a person, a job, whatever it might be, because we have loosen your grip, density, addiction, let God in, coping mechanisms, okay? And it's interesting because like in this image, we could see that there's like this woman that's actually like kind of falling through the cliff in a way, but I almost see this as like 2 different archetypes. One is like she's very kind of sunken in and she's very like going down. The other one is almost like she's kind of ascending up. So it's like at the same time that something was released or dropped down, it equally was almost this like micro ascension process of actually like moving you up, right? Because remember, like one of the, you know, Hermetic principles is that for every, you know, kind of reaction, there's an opposite, for every action, there's an opposite reaction, right? So if the pendulum kind of swings to that one extreme of like destabilization, it equally, and this is kind of paradox, but equally it has that capacity to swing to complete stabilization. So it's like at the same time that you've been, like, in other words, if you were that low, that means you could be that kind of high up at this, if you can move yourself there, right? And you do have ascendant. So this could have been something that really was something related to your identity, an attachment of sorts to just like who you are as an individual. And we have Libra and Taurus here, okay, which are strongly ruled, they're Venus ruled signs. So they're actually the only 2 Venus ruled signs in astrology. Other signs can do really well in Venusian energy, but these 2 are the ones that are Venus ruled, okay? So this could have been something that was financial that you were attached to, or a relationship, because we have finances, love, all up in here, or it could have been something that involved all of the above, okay? Could have been a Libra with Taurus energy, or a Taurus with Libra energy, or it could have just been, again, you know, we can be in a relationship with a particular job that we want, that we see as our stability. So it could be many layers here, okay? But there's this strong energy here of like, it ended, okay, maybe suddenly, abruptly, And this kind of puts you into this energy of having to go down and do maybe shadow work here, you know, in a way in which now you're like coming out of and you're ascending out of that shadow work energy you were going into. And with this, you know, this could be like a micro tower moment. I know I went through one at the last actual full moon, which was major tower moment, dark night of the soul. And it was this very thing. It was very unexpected what transpired. And it definitely set me down. But then I was able to kind of go up after giving myself some self-soothing. I was able to look at the other side of that because it forced me to ask why and to consider maybe like I had to change my approach. With ascendant, that is very similar because the ascendant is like the initial energy, the approach we have that we're seen by in the world, you know. So it's like there's something here where you have to change. You had to go through this change of your self-identity in a huge way with this energy here. Now we have from two totally different decks, travel, okay, and travel. So can't make this stuff up. So I see this as number one, you're traveling away from this energy now. This to me, it's almost like kind of six of swords-ish in a way, because it's saying you were very much in this, but now you're actually really moving away from that. There could also be this energy here of this relationship or this work, career, this financial thing that you are manifesting will involve some degree of separation or travel. Maybe you're going to kind of move around with this job, or maybe it's a relationship where it's long distance at first, or like there's some degree of separation involved, or maybe you through your work you travel a lot, they don't, you know. So there could be some things here that have to be factored in where there is this energy of like travel and separation going on. Okay. And I don't think it's quite time to celebrate yet because we have Four of Wands, which is the celebration card, but this came up in reverse. Okay, and we do also have the Hanged Man here. So this to me is just saying that, yes, you're kind of like ascending and on the up and up from all of this, but there's some delays in the process of you being ready to celebrate this like new kind of ascension experience here. It's like there's still some kinks being worked out. And I want this one to go with this. I'm going to put this down here. From my self-love affirmation cards, we have, I accept that I am here for a greater good. And we also have, change is easy and effortless for me. So I interpret this as, before, because we do have that energy there with like the codependence and the tower moment, and you know, Taurus is a very attached sign, and Libra can be as well, particularly when it comes to relationships. You know, there could have been this really strong self-identity with that person, with that job, and then it's like it came to like this screeching halt, right? And you were like, okay, like, well, who am I? Why am I here? What do I identify with? And you know, it's almost like you've had to rediscover yourself in a way, because I accept that I am here for a greater good. So this is you saying like, even though I was very strongly linked and attached to this thing in my past, I acknowledge that I have a purpose to be here. I have a soul journey and a soul mission outside of that. And this is you acknowledging like, you know, in a way, your self-worth, right? I'm worth it, literally. You might want to listen to that Fifth Harmony song, Worth It, okay? This is you acknowledging like, yes, I have talents, I have gifts to give to others, to serve in the universe in some way, and this is encouraging you that this change can be easy and effortless. Actually, there can be this energy here of moving into this space where it is good for you. And with this travel, you know, this could be also just talking about you're moving away from that old kind of tower and codependency energy, and you're moving into this space of like new experiences, people, places, things. Okay. To me, I also interpret this as like almost Aquarian, but kind of like also just detaching. This is like you're detaching, you're moving away from that older stuff into the newer stuff here. I don't think it's necessarily without its complications, although change is easy and effortless, which was the affirmation, could mean that your process of moving into this new thing could actually occur in a quite surprisingly easy way for you. However, even within that, there could still be some delays or kind of interruptions or blocks towards getting to this full-on celebration of this new person, place, or thing that you're manifesting here, which makes sense because we have so much energy, mutable energy in the retrograde that's just like all over the place, you know? So it's like 1 minute you're like, oh, it's going to be on this day. And then it's like, oh, wait, no, it's this day. No, wait, now it's postponed a week out, and like all this stuff, you know? Now, it's interesting because this card, books, it says you connect your life purpose through your involvement with books. So this could be something about studying or helping people with information in some type of way. But I really saw this card very linked. It's interesting too because they're actually facing this way, which to me is like energetically the future, you know? So it's interesting because it's like books and travel, and even this word is like on the bottom and this one's on the top. So it's almost like I feel like Archangel Gabriel helped me to communicate this to Pile 3 peeps. I feel like in a weird way, when you feel frustrated about the celebration not being here yet and the delays, blocks, or obstacles towards getting what you want, it's almost like take yourself there through like guided visualizations. Take yourself there in your mind, okay? Travel even in your mind, even if you can't travel like physically right now to that new person, place, or thing, travel there in your mind, you know? And there is absolutely guided visualizations that you can buy, download, follow, which can help you with this, okay? But that's a form of like creative manifestation that's very important, is like thinking through it in your mind what it's going to look like, and like the sensory feelings. And you know, with Jupiter in early Pisces right now, just for a short bit, because it will retrograde back into Aquarius later on in the summer, you know, it's a really good time to be tapping into that Piscean energy about like visioning and imagining and creating. So I think if you can do some of that, some of this like imaginative, like creative visualization work, it will actually help you a lot with feeling more comfortable with the delays, blocks, challenges that might be kind of like the bumps in the road on your path to like fully ascending out of this cliff face. Okay, I really see, Pile 3 peeps, that you are on this ascension up and out of the old, but there's still like some blocks and kind of like kinks being worked out with it, you know? It's almost like, you know, on a hot day, like your hair gets really frizzy, right? And even like I have very straight hair naturally, and even on a hot, humid day, like my hair will still get like a little frizzy, even though it's like naturally very straight. And, you know, it's like, well, I had the analogy and now it went away. But sometimes it's like you got to work with the frizz and the humidity, and then other times you can get a straightener out, you know, and you can straighten it. So I think you're kind of learning that art of like, when can I be in amusement and kind of release and flow about these blocks, obstacles, delays, and when can I apply concentrated effort towards these blocks, obstacles, and delays. Sometimes it's good for you to just kind of like check out and just roll with it and be creative and just play with it imaginatively. Other times maybe it's good for you to put some energy in, because maybe, you know, maybe it's like your support is needed. Maybe it's not quite picking up speed or momentum because you were kind of like taking a back seat and the other person's taking a back seat. So it's like, okay, like, well, one of us has to step up. So I'm going to do it because I see the way. Which again is why being kind of having that vision and having that creative imagination about it could be really good. There's actually a book that I would recommend for you guys, Pile 3 peeps. This book, I'm coming back. This book is a really good one, and this is one that I started with way at the beginning of my spiritual journey. I probably need to kind of go back and refresh myself about it, to be honest. It actually has, I believe, an accompanying book. So this is actually the workbook portion of it. I never actually bought the book, to be honest, TBH, but I just have the workbook. And the workbook itself is very powerful because it talks about various creative visualization techniques. And this is by Shakti Gawain. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out this book. It's an older book, so I don't actually know. Oh gosh, this is from 1995. I was like super young then. It's interesting too because the zip code here is 94949. Let me actually look that up in my angel numbers. I feel like that's a message for you guys. So 949, your divine life purpose involves working with the angels very closely. Ask the angels for help in building your spiritually based career. Okay, that was a message I needed to hear. Maybe that's a message for some of you as well. But that's how sometimes life can work. You can be like, oh, I get this urge to explore or do this thing. Like I had the urge to check out the book. Then I saw the numbers and I had the urge to look up the meaning of those numbers. And then the meaning of those numbers gave me a supportive message I needed to hear. So you might not resonate with that whole pathway, but just like that very thing is being in that state of flow and kind of like imaginative receptivity, you know, so that you can like get into alignment with what the universe is inspiring you and trying to teach you at that time. So that's what I have for you, Pile 3 peeps. I'm sending you so much love. Please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel. And drop a comment down below. Let me know how you resonated with that pile. And I love hearing your positive, supportive messages in the comments. It's so fun to see how different people resonate with different piles in such unique and delicious ways. And I just think it's a great opportunity for us to witness other people and what they're going through. So to me, the comment sections are, you know, when they're positive, supportive, they're just a really incredibly special place where we can witness each other and we can see how different people can resonate energetically with the same message in such different ways, you know. So with that, I'm going to wrap up here. I'm sending you guys much love and light. Do make sure that you're subscribed to my email newsletter. If you have not done so already, please feel free to share with people about my channel. It does help. And of course, sharing about my spiritual business helps a lot. And if you feel inclined, you're also welcome to leave a donation. My PayPal is down there, along with lots of other goodies like my Etsy shop and my website and various things. So sending you guys much love and light.